I'm not really built for this. Okay.
All right. Well, welcome back to the X-Files podcast. Thank
Good
you
to be
for
back
being
on.
my unofficial co-host, although we're not hosting anybody, so you're just Walt.
I'm just
Again.
unofficial.
Just unofficial. Man, so much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been trying to do this podcast? Like months, it feels like.
Yeah, just shout out to the X-Files podcast for being the least experienced podcast out there with the most guests on hold and the least episodes.
I would say the most patient, valuable listeners out there for sure.
It's tough, man. It's been really busy. You know, with
Well, it's the season. It's the transition
and
season.
Lots of wind. The shop's been, hustling. It's been a lot of work. So
I've been moving dogs and people
house.
all over the place. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Getting up to the gorge for the summer. See, I didn't call it Hood River. I called it the gorge.
That's pretty good.
It's because I'm a local now.
Watch out.
Yeah, I'm gonna get cut. My tires are gonna get slashed.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that around here.
You shuttle so many people. There's going to be people like, oh, you're low on air. Psst, let me fill you up, sir. So
Exactly.
you can shuttle us one more time.
Hey, we learned the golden rule: buy or rent the biggest van you can get your hands on when you show up at a downwinding spot, and you'll be everybody's best friend.
Yeah, golden. Yeah.
Golden rule number one. So
No, it's sick.
everybody get that U-Haul.
Yeah, I rolled up to Hood River to visit you for a week, and it was blowing its tits off almost every single day. Like what? 25 to gusts to 40.
We had that one warm-up day at 20, and then it was 25 to 40 plus every day. You basically showed up for the windiest stretch of the season so far, which was like 2 weeks straight, where it was solid blowing 25 to 40 pretty much every day. And I was dead by the end of that day. It killed me.
Yeah.
So hard to rest when it's that good out, especially when your homie's in town. I think Dylan had me on the water like 6-7 hours a day. So,
you had
happy
me on the
I
water for
served.
6 to 7 hours a day. What are you
That was
talking
me?
about? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think
I even drove for a couple runs. I was just like, I'm chilling.
that's because you were so busy out there sailing that parawing instead of downwinding. No, I'm just kidding. This is gonna be a good conversation. It's like the parawing is changing everything, right? And I feel like the summer here has just been the kind of true example of that. I remember last year being here all summer, and paddling was the thing, right? Everybody was on a sup, and then the BRMs came out in August, and there was like maybe 5-10 of us. I mean, Sam and Walker and some of the crew, Sawyer, all on the original pocket wing. Yeah, the original pocket wings. And then when the BRMs came out, there's probably another 5 or 6 of us on those. But that was maybe 3% of the total downwinders were using the parawing, and now it's a complete flip. I mean, we'll be in van rides where it'll be all parawings, right? And you don't have a single downwind sup in the crew. So parawing is definitely just kind of changing the shape of downwinding here in the gorge. I'm sure it's not having as big an impact in the ocean because sup is a mighty vessel for ocean passage, but at the same time, parawing's blown up everywhere. What you can do with them is just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's blown up here as well, right? That's all of the sup downwinders went to a parawing. We
need to change the name of our chat.
Yeah. I mean, we have a separate parawing chat now.
Bro, I didn't even get an invite. I guess because I'm here now.
Yeah.
Rude.
Yeah, too many.
It's probably not as good as our OG chat though. That's mad shit talking.
Yeah, I mean they're all like that. If I'm in the chat, there's going to be a lot of shit talking.
I was trying to explain to some of the crew here because I was like, man, this is such a polite chat. Like we're all so nice to each other. It's like my chats in Puerto Rico are not like this at all. Like they are way more aggressive.
Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
Scared of hurting someone's feelings.
Yeah, nobody wants to hurt anybody. I feel sometimes I'm like, am I being rude? Am I not being nice enough on this chat? Anyways, I just like it. I can't help it. I mean, you got to talk some shit. If you're not talking shit, you don't really care, right? What was it? That quote I sent you. It's like friends who like talk shit about each other are like 300% more likely to keep the friendship long term or something.
Yeah, for sure.
If you really care about your homies, talk some shit to them.
Yeah, we're like 5% then. 500% gonna stay home.
Something like that. Exactly. Well, yeah. So I mean, I think we could talk about the trip a little bit. I mean, you got out here. We kind of dug straight in, had a lot of new gear to try, got on these new KT boards, the Super Ks, which are obviously blowing up. Really amazing shape for parawinging. Been super psyched on that. And I know you were. Tyson them hooked us up with some KT foils to try out too, which was super cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was also rad.
In true Dylan fashion, fly to a place to go foil and bring no gear. So
you brought parawings.
I brought a lot of parawings. I brought like 7 of them. Only used 1.
Well, because most of them were like you're like brought like 4 7s and 5 3s and what are these sizes that you just can't use in the gorge. But yeah, you just wore out that 3/6 ozone that I then held hostage.
Yeah. Before
you left and made sure you left here for me.
Yeah, it was really the first time I had some really good sessions on the pocket rocket, and I mean all of us know that it's just a little bit ahead of in its class,
I was pretty blown away.
Yeah, and that's
getting to use it here.
And so when I was talking to the foil rat guy, he was like, "Yeah, I want to go to Hood and do like upwind, downwinds. Like that'll be so much fun." I was like, "Yeah, but the shuttling there is so easy, right? Everyone's shuttling, even if you can do upwind, downwinds, like." Then actually experiencing it and being there, and it's like a little bit lighter up at the top. It's a little bit flatter, so the bumps aren't really stacked up yet. So you like go out the hatch and you sail around and you like rip upwind, pack it up, and hit the good sections. Swell City down to the hatch, down to the basement, and then you like pop your thing up, upwind again. And then I did like an upwind all the way to the tunnel, and then all the way down, and like it is really accessible and it is super fun. Like I have no issue, especially if you're on a good parawing like that pocket rocket. Like super fun. And I was just like, I had one day on it. I was like, wow, this thing, it felt so kite-like and so fun to fly. I just felt really like that's all. I mean, my shirt says wing it, but it is a parawing it shirt. I'm just going to cover this. And man, I haven't flown a wing in who knows how long. I can't even remember pumping up a wing and using a wing. No idea. I went to this wing event in Cabarete last weekend. It was a Cabarete Wing Fest. Didn't touch a wing.
Well, that's why they call it the parawing, baby.
Yeah, that's why they call it a parawing. Yeah, parawing, wing.
It's still winging, right? Yeah. No, but I think that's the magic of it, right? It like allows you to fold. We keep talking as these sports expand. We're folding skill sets and experiences on top of each other, right? So it's like all of that time. I think you mentioned it a second ago how kite-like the pocket rocket feels. Because there's no doubt, dude, the Kanaha, really awesome, right? The bar pressure that BRM achieved there and like how stable it is in the wind window. It still flies upwind incredibly well, but the lines are a little bit shorter and it stays loaded more. Whereas I agree, when I hopped on the pocket rocket from Ozone, I was like, oh my God, I'm flying like a little kite. Like the aspect ratio of it, how it moves through the lines being a little bit longer. I hope that's something they keep as they continue to go, because I don't think managing like an extra foot or 2 of lines to get all of that movement and performance you get out of it is a big issue with pack down once you're dialed. But I mean, there's no doubt it's a way more technical sail to fly. Like the power zone's tighter. There's no doubt there's more top end. The range on them is crazy, right? Like, and how easily you can like hold into the window and like hit a really hard tack and like just be totally loaded up, take a gust, and it just blows out the back. Whereas I feel like the Flow and the BRMs maybe a little gruntier, but like they hold that power more, and it gets a little tougher to hold on to on the upwinding. But yeah, man, just how it feels like a kite, right? Like the ability to do loops with it and like down loop in your turns and swing it through the window is just super cool. And again, all of a sudden we're taking like the skill set of wing pop up and sailing a sail that's like close to you on a foil board, and then fusing that with like how we fly a kite with a bar and some of the maneuvers there. And obviously like with your background, you were just putting on a show at the hatch for sure. I know some people probably saw some of those clips, but everybody's like, dude, I didn't know you could parawing like that. I didn't know parawings did mega loops.
Yeah.
Not quite, but around the worlds and walk the dogs. And like, I mean, they're so fun and easy to do, 'cause it's like right there. You just put it in the water and roll it over and come around and bring it back out. And so cool. So cool. I'm so psyched on it.
Yeah, it was so easy and intuitive, the feel of it, lightweight, and then, you can get into ease of use, right? I mean, I have this conversation with so many people because they come into the shop to get a parawing, and I've got all of them, right? Because I was
you have all of them. Mm-hmm.
I was
we
so
all do.
like, wow, so crazy. So I got all these BRMs, I've got the pocket rockets, I've got the flows, I've got the North, and I'm like trying to figure out what this customer wants, right? And yeah, every single one has its, little key points, and you can go on all these chats and forums that I'm reading, and like, I mean, everyone always talks, they're all talking about the same thing, right? Oh, I want to go upwind, but I want it to pack easy. Oh, I want the lines to be short, but I don't want it to be twitchy. I want it to be grunty, but I want it to have high end, right? You're like, cool. Like, you can pick and choose size wise. You could pick a different parawing for every aspect, right? And sure, why not? But then in the end, like I said it on a chat, like earlier today, I really don't care how long the lines are or how hard it is to pack, as long as I'm getting the sail quality and like the riding quality that I want out of it. Because even in the gorge, like you pop up your parawing, like those Rufus runs. I mean, I only used the flow 3 meter for 6 seconds before I packed it away, and it was like blowing 40. I just held on, went downwind, rolled it up into a bag, and then stuffed it in my pouch and sent it downwind. Like, does it really matter that it's like a little bit harder to pack? I don't really
I think
care.
for you it doesn't, right? I think it all comes down to what are you looking to get out of it. If you're primarily just downwinding, there's no doubt the BRM packs down faster and easier than probably any wing out there, at least that I've used, because the canopy is that lighter material. It really collapses. The line length's short. The bar is super tiny. I mean, you just grab it, whop, whop, in the bag. Whereas, it's probably twice as hard to pack away the ozone. But for the high-end performance, it just goes back to, I think it's an advanced parawing for people who want to sail more and who are really comfortable on downwind and really comfortable already packing it away. I think if you're a beginner, to me, the BRM definitely feels like an easier option for like getting through the paces of how awkward it is balancing on this little board, especially when you're starting on small wing boards like a 60-50 liter. I mean, you're on a big board, probably a little easier to manage, but there's a lot going on getting on that board that's semi-sinker and trying to keep that thing in the window and it's moving around. And, the BRM, you just hold it up and you're like, oh, there's the power, there's the power, there's the power. Oh, it's everywhere. Okay, I just need to stand up, right? Whereas like some of the other ones, you got to kind of get it to the sweet spot. But man, when you do, it is more solid. And I don't know, I'm with you. I think for what I'm doing, it's a better parawing for me, but not to say the other brands aren't super awesome.
Yeah. And I guess I always seem surprised with everyone questioning everything, but isn't that what we do every minute of every day, right? I'm like, why do they care so much about like how hard it is to pack or, what the down, or like, because I know that when I sailed that thing, I was just like, okay, all right,
whatever.
That's what I want to ride. But then, yeah, for sure, a beginner, it's like, it's a little bit nuancy, it's a bit, it's tough to find the sweet spot. But if you've got kite flying skills and, you're a pretty good winger and a foiler, there's no reason not to jump on it, right? And
I agree. I think it's for the advanced rider, it's the right pick. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, look, you're not, you can do all the things on all these. And at the end of the day, we're still in, version 1.5, right? Version 2 of BRM, version 1 of a lot of other brands. I think it's actually just spectacular. We were talking about this the other day. Look where we are. Look how good this equipment is this fast.
Already.
Right? Already out the gate. What are we going to be like in 2-3 years when we really dial in all the nuances of what makes it great? F1's about to throw their hat in the ring. Foil Rat has an entire podcast only devoted to talking about parawings pretty much.
I know.
So, this sport is not going anywhere. This is like the future.
I feel like on a lot of podcasts, or like at least the ones I listen to, it's a lot
like this one.
Yeah, I listen to this one most of the time. It's a lot of parawing talk going around, and people are trying to hold off, and people are messaging me, and they're like,
just buy some shit.
They're like, damn it, I can't hold off anymore. I'm jumping in. And you're like, yeah, you should have 6 months ago when you talked to me, Yeah. Then you would have been.
Well, they're hard to get now.
You would have been at least $3,000 deep, and you would know that it's definitely for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think there's more good options now than ever. I think this is kind of, it's summer. It's the perfect time for there to be a lot of options on the table. And there's more wings that fit more riders' needs right now than there were 6 months ago, obviously.
100%.
So I think it's going to be a big summer. And then going into winter, I'm sure we're going to see more brands. Like I said, F1 we know is going to be coming with something soon. There's going to be more brands following suit there. And then coming in next summer, we're all going to be just flying crazy. I'm excited to see where they go too, because to me, it still speaks to like Greg's perception on Parawings, that there are different needs for different riders and different wings to meet those needs. And like you were just saying, there is the more downwind specific, and that's kind of like what I think of as, the Ka or the Maliko that BRM is making, right? Versus the Pocket Rocket, right? High aspect, upwind ready, longer lines, much more prone to tangles and stuff. But
it's not high aspect. Okay.
It's not high. I'm sorry. It's mid aspect. Exactly. I'm higher aspect than the BRM sail, the Pocket Rocket. But yeah, totally. You'll have to go back and watch that episode to hear that little shot there from Dylan. So go back to the BRM episode, watch that shit.
Well, it's just like, yeah, it's high aspect. He's like, and the whole time he's waiting for you to finish. He's like, it's not high aspect. And he's like, well, what I meant is it's more high aspect. He's like,
Dylan, who is this idiot you have talking to me right now? I'm like, I'm such a moron.
Yeah, totally.
Anyways, it's cool. It's cool watching it all happen. And it's cool how good the gear is, man. Like, and to your point of, I was in the same boat as you. It was like, why would I ever sail upwind here? And a lot of people are still in that boat. Like, why would you ever sail upwind here? Because, shuttles are so easy and whatever. But I'm finding the same thing. I would rather be having all of that time to like play with the sail, work on my tacks and jibes and little tricks, and just getting more in tune with this piece of gear I'm using, and having that as part of my journey to get upwind, to do these little downwinders. If the wind's not cranking 30 plus, if it's 30 plus, I'm just going to go send it. But it's in the 20s, dude, go sail around. It's good practice. It's good workout, good fun.
I mean, you go to the hatch and you're there early and no one's around. There's no shuttles going. Like, why not mess around?
You have no friends.
You have no friends. Then you go sail around. You can go upwind. You can go downwind. You can hit some good sections. It's fun. But yeah, I would still, being there and experience it, still prefer to jump in the shuttle, because then your legs aren't cooked going all the way upwind, right? Mm-hmm. You go all the way upwind and then you collapse it, and then you're like, okay. I didn't use a harness once when I was there. Didn't need to. Mm-hmm. Spent hours on that thing and didn't need to. But I mean,
yeah, the ozone's easier on the arms. Yeah, and you've been hitting the gym,
Don't tell people that. I really try to avoid telling people I go to the gym. They're like, what? I'm like, all water sports, baby.
Well, it was until like a month ago. I'm just trying to give you a little street cred here.
Yeah, so that's been
no,
good.
But I feel, and it's also weird tuning, right? Like, because you're in this sailing kind of wing mode when you're sailing, and then when you go to turn on the bump, you kind of have to like readjust your stance and get the thing put away and get it all bundled in your hand. I don't know. There's just like, it takes me about 30 seconds to go from like sailing brain to like, okay, I'm like in the stance I want. I'm narrow. I'm like ripping turns now, because the whole point of downwinding, for me at least, is like open ocean surfing. Is kind of, or open water surfing. And like, that's what I find the joy in. I'm not a racer. I'm not fast. I don't really care. I just want to go like keep trying to turn as hard as I can and do new stuff and do 360s and like whatever, right? Like, those are the things that are fun to do out there. So it's like, yeah, kind of going and shifting. It's definitely like easier to enjoy the longevity of a run when you get the first 30 seconds or whatever to kind of tune into your equipment, and then you just go, right? And you're just thinking, whereas like when I'm constantly deploying, going up, trying to get back in that surf stance, surfing, going back to my, foot swapping and whatever, I just noticed it's taking me a little bit out of the flow state, right? Like you work really hard to get into that deep flow state when you're downwinding. I think when you're doing the alternating, it kind of like, it just takes a second to tune in.
Yeah. It always feels awkward for a second. You're like sailing around, getting out, and then you pack it away and you're like, whoa.
Exactly.
Like, where am I?
Wait, I know what the fuck I'm doing. Why does this feel weird right now? Like, I was just cranking on these same waves like one run ago, and now I feel like I'm a kook and I can't, because your feet are just in the wrong place and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, you've just been chilling and sailing around. And it's a total different leverage against your foil, right? So then you get all freestanding and you're like, whoa, whoa, where's my pump at? I've had it a bunch of times. I turn down wind and I like collapse, and I'm like, and I kind of stall out and I get all weird. And I was like, whoa, that was weird.
Yeah, totally. I also, like you were saying, you weren't using a hook, but I mean, there's no doubt that hooking in, I think, is totally the way with the parawings for upwinding. Like your sail angle's better. Yeah, exactly.
I would
your sail angle's better.
If I thought for a second. Just I'm all excited, And
you're
like,
all go.
We're like, I'm going.
You're all go, no
like,
brakes, baby.
Like, Dylan, you've got no pants on. I was like, I could use pants later. Yeah, get to the water.
It was so funny. And you'd be carrying around like 3 parawings in a backpack all day for no reason too. You'd be like, no, it's cool. I've got my 2.3. I've got a 5.3. I got the 4.7. I don't know. Maybe I want to ride the Kanaha for a little bit. And then you'd just be on the 3.6 pocket rocket literally the entire time. It was blowing 40 or it was blowing 20. No. You were on the same parawing.
I switched to the 3 meter on those days.
Oh, on the flow. Yeah, you had that flow.
Because it was just ridiculous.
My story was better before you corrected me, but whatever.
I always do that.
I did like the flow, though. The flow, well, it's marketing, baby. You just kind of make shit up and roll with it. I did like the flow. I thought the flow here sailed really well, but it didn't have the same grace that the pocket rocket had, right? The pocket rocket, again, it just feels more kite-like, which is maybe the most clear way to describe the difference in feels. Is the other two feel like a parawing, and that thing feels like a little kite to me.
Yeah. It's just got this loose energy to it. I don't know.
I think it's the length of the lines mostly, right? I mean, it's got to be the shape and the leading edge and some of those things. You see some design differences in how the leading edge holds and stuff, but
the only ones that I can compare really are I still have some flows in the
3.
shop. Huh?
Yeah, there's like 3 that we're really comparing, right?
Yeah, like the ozone pocket rocket and the flow, like they're pretty similar. Like and I also flew the 3 around just like I was with the ozone. I was trying to feel it out. I just never felt like I had the time to sail it around other than that day in the hatch. And then when we were doing that Rufus run and you guys went to go get the vans, then I went out with the 3 meter again. Although it was blowing its tits off, I was still like doing the same thing. It still had that playful feel to it. The lines are a bit shorter, so it felt a little bit more twitchy. Like in the way that it responds, but it was very intuitive to fly as well, and upwind capability is the same. It just feels a little bit gruntier. It's
got like a little more oomph to it, right? I agree. I thought it was the flow and the pocket rocket were like way closer together, and then the BRM's kind of over here in its own world of like this crazy stable, just really cool piece of equipment that again just allows for maybe a little less high end performance.
Yeah, it's. For me, the only reason I do a BRM is for the stowability of it, really. Other than that...
And it's hands down the best, no doubt. I mean, I've gone back to back because I still got them, right? Like I go back and forth on the downwind. Sometimes I'll throw those in because they're so easy to pack away. And I'm just like, dude.
Tiny. Easy.
Whereas that bar on the pocket rocket, sometimes even with their stash is built for it. I'm like,
shove it in. It's like... It's like sticking out the ends, like ding. You're like, ooh, my bag's got a little stiffy. Like pumps out the end.
Yeah, dude.
But the lines on the flow are better than the ozone. Like the ozone.
Let's talk stash bags though, for real. Yeah, I mean, we can get to it after we talk about this, but man, stash bag's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm done talking about parawings.
I feel like we beat that one up. Well, to mention, we haven't flown the Fly Surfer. We got to hold it. I held it in the parking lot. I need to go borrow somebody's and go fly that thing. But it does seem like it's a little more grunty. And from talking to folks, it doesn't depower as well.
Yeah, I flew it for a minute on the beach, and I could tell. And, man, you'd have to do a double take to collapse it. The lines are extremely long. And I know I said this before, that I don't care how it packs. But I was going to mention the POW, that as long as it's within like an arm's length, like if I have to extend my arms all the way, that's as long as the line should be and can be. Maybe a little bit longer, I can give like an extra tug, but to go an arm's length and a half, it's a little bit excessive, and I don't think I want to deal with that. And I don't know if it's really helping the performance. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Well, again, different classes. If people are just sailing around with it, and they want to like, cruise around or mosey, or maybe, I don't know if it's fast or not, like if they want to race or, for speed or I don't know what they're doing with it, but man, having that length of lines is a little bit just too much to deal with.
Yeah, so I'm 6'2", and so I just think all the designers out there should understand that if you can at 6'2" reach the end of the lines, that's the perfect length. So all designs should be based around that.
Perfect Walt length. That's what it's going to say in the description. Walt's arm's length for perfection.
I'm telling you guys, I'm just trying to help you out and not waste your time. I mean, I hate, they're sitting there like, should they be longer? Should they be shorter? I don't know. Somebody text Walt, ask him how long his arm is.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as
that's the perfect length. That's pretty much the ozone. The ozone's like a perfect arm length. If I reach all the way down, I can get to the end of the canopy and like sheet it in.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not that tall, but I also can reach all the way.
Yeah, well, you do a little.
Just a little extra.
Just a little to get it. Yeah,
just
cool.
A little extra.
Yeah, but look, it's good that the stash bags are evolving, or the stow bags, however you want to call them. Definitely, we've tried all those. Also, fairly partial to the ozone, just from that lycra stretchiness, along with the Velcro and just the size. How I think it's super important that the belt is the same width as the stash area. I mean, BRM has it like that, but it's like that hard plastic, so it kind of like squeezes the parawing out, right?
Yeah.
And then the NSI one's cool, but then you got this big poop like dump bucket that's just hanging off your butt going like this. You know? So
the stash one does that a little bit too, like the ozone one.
It
does that a bit. Like you turn it around.
It does it like the least though. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to keep it in front, so it's like smashing me in the front. I don't know if I want to put it on my back, so I'm like, you know,
it's on the back, dude.
Extra booty. Yeah, it's on the back.
I think it's weird when you do it on the front. I don't know. It's more of like a style thing. I think you just look weird with it on the front. You know, you don't want the fupa. You want the booty, not the fupa.
Dude, you're wearing like a bucket hat. You're worried about what you look like out there.
My bucket hat is sweet, okay, and keeping me UV free.
Yeah.
Well, bucket hats are the new baseball caps. All right. I'm bringing in some sun safety.
I guess all the Maui boys are doing that, and those are atrocious.
Hey, that's the thing I love about this sport. It's like it's about finding the ugliest bucket hat you can get, and that's the one you wear. Like I just found a horrible, amazingly terrible bucket hat that I just ordered. I'm really excited about it. You know, and just thanks to all the cool kids for wearing bucket hats and allowing us not cool kids to feel good wearing them and not get skin cancer.
Let's talk about the hunt for the hat, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, dude, it was a hunt. Yeah. Finding the right hat. I mean, we can get techie, dude. We can talk bucket hats for when's the X-Foils bucket hat coming, baby?
I don't know. I got to find like a super ugly color.
Yeah, right.
Something just yuck.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's the key. It's got to be horrendous. Ideally, two really terrible colors juxtaposing each other. I think that's what makes for the best. Obviously, the best hat ever made, the Voyager yellow and orange or red one. Very aggressive, very hard to look at, but obviously a clear winner.
Yeah.
Safety first. Safety first.
But yeah, the ozone stash belt is definitely the winner. I mean, there's not many out there. North is coming out with theirs now. Very different concept for the way
side
that
stash, right?
Hey, we can't talk about it.
Oh, sorry. Did I just get bleeped? Was that a bleep?
I'll bleep.
Do I get a big North logo over my face for a second?
Yeah, I think I'm going to bleep that out. But
you should definitely bleep that out.
A little bit of a different concept, and I hope it's the right
direction.
Well,
you were all hardcore on this backpack thing, bro. Well, you were like, backpack's the way, dude. Just take it, make it into a burrito, have a little snack, put it away in your backpack. Like, no, dude, backpack's not the way.
Well, it's
the way for the backup. Difficult.
Yeah, but I stash my backup and mine in there, both of them. But the thing is, like, when you're in the gorge, you've only got, 3 miles, 4 miles? What is it?
It depends on the run, but yeah. It's 3.
It's pretty short, so you really want to start getting into
3, but it feels like 4, okay?
Yeah. It's true, because you're going backwards. Dude, that was the weird thing. Like, I didn't panic, but I felt like a little bit worried because I went out to go get up on the parawing to sail around for the first time, and it was like a lull. And I couldn't get up, and I couldn't get up, and I couldn't get up. And I was like, which way should I get up? Should I go this way or that way, depending on the swell angle, and like get a little pump going? And I like sit down and I look and I'm like up the river and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to get home? That river is just, it's out of this world, man. Like
it's wild,
so
right?
Crazy. You just sit there and you're going upwind.
I mean, there's no better. It's a treadmill, dude. It's a treadmill for foiling. It's epic, right?
It is wild. Yeah, it threw me through a loop. I was like, what am I doing up here? I better get up and get down.
Yeah, it makes this place so special for a lot of sports in the water because of that, right? It creates these really unique conditions. I mean, it gives us these steeper bumps that really wouldn't form, right? Like if you didn't have the current pushing against the wind chop or the wind swell, you wouldn't get this steep, narrow little bumps and pockets that we get here that make the foiling so awesome. But it also does create challenges when you go back to the ocean, right? Like you go to the ocean and it's such a different beast that like they're really, I mean, we're both foiling, but they're pretty like night and day skill sets as far as like downwinding in the ocean and then downwinding here.
Yeah, because once you're in the ocean, I mean, there are sections that are good and there's some that are bad. The wind's pretty consistently even all over. Like if it dies, it dies. It's, I don't know. In Hood, it's so sporadic. Like in the hatch area, like
how gusty it is. I mean, like, we'll have a 15 mile an hour all day.
They're like, what was the wind range? And I was like, it was like 8 to 35, give or take. Like all of a sudden you go out and I'm like, I can see the wind line die. And I'm like, okay, I gotta do my transition now. So I swap my feet, do a transition, and I come into like all I'm doing is pumping out of it until I find the wind again, and then all of a sudden it's 25 knots. You know, I was just, it's kind of wild. So, but going back,
it's to why you need a parawing that has like more range to it, probably for here if you're going to be sailing a lot. I think that was the other thing that we liked about the ozone is that it gave us a little more range and more top end that you could use because I mean you'd be sailing and you go from 10 to 30 and like to manage that on a wing that only has like a 10 knot range is pretty tough, right? And I think that was some of the challenges I had flying a couple of the other wings is like when I get to those gusty sections, I mean, I was fucking hanging on for dear life, feeling like my shoulders were going to rip out. Whereas like the ozone didn't give me that same aggressive feeling at the top and it felt overloaded, but it wasn't like I'm going to have to let go of this soon or just start rocketing downwind because I can't hold on to this thing going upwind because I'm hitting a 15 knot gust right now.
That's why I was so stoked to have that 2-2 north. I'm like, dude, when am I ever going to use that thing? It's grunty. It's easy to use. It's a pop up and go. But dude, it just because it doesn't angle as much into the wind, it just sits in front of you. And it was so windy. When it gets really windy and loaded, it kind of pushes back in front of you. Oh man, I could not hold on to that 2-2. I was just like, wow. It was just like out of control.
Just so much power.
So I put it away and took out the 3. And I was like, that was better. Like the 3 flow.
Hey, look, people survive on all kinds of sizes that don't make sense here, right? Like that run we were doing where you saw Sam and those guys down and they had the 4 meters.
Oh my God.
It's gusting like 40 miles an hour and these dudes are just getting ragdolled trying to hold on to these things.
Like I was on foil and I was yelling at Sawyer in front of me. It was like, woo, we were hooting and hollering. It was smoke on the water. It was like, holy crap, windy.
That was the best day.
And then I passed by, and I guess it's Sam. He was with this POW, and it was just like, he was just holding on for his life. I'm like, thank God I am on foil right now. Like, you just got to wait out the gusts.
Yeah, it's so funny because when that happens, right, like as we get better, we can know the gusts are coming and put the thing down. But sometimes they kind of come, and then all of a sudden you're just in this, like, your brain shuts off, and you're in this, like, fight or flight mode where you're just, like, holding on to this thing is getting blown to shit, to shreds in the wind. And it's like, I don't know, at least for me, every time that's happening, I'm just like, oh, wait a second. All I have to do is like throw it into the water, like pull down on the back of the bar and depower. But like, I always forget and I just get my shoulders ripped off trying to hang on to it instead of just doing the thing that like would take the power out of it because like, you're just not ready for it. Right. Like when you're just chilling, you're like, oh, this feels, because it goes from feeling like totally chill. I'm just going to casually get up on my board. I hope I have enough wind to like get on my board and plane forward without sinking. So I have enough stability to start working it up. It goes from that to like, oh my God, I have so much power. I can barely hold on to this. And if I stand up on my board, I'm going to be on foil in a half a second. And like, that's within 2 or 3 seconds of each other. So, I mean, the gorge doesn't come without its challenges when it comes to wind. Whereas you think about it in the ocean, it's like, dude, if that 3.6 is working, it's just going to fucking work because the wind window is only 5 miles an hour between the gusts and the lulls, right? Like you're just in the sweet spot. So steady, so steady. Whereas here, it's just these pulsing, just bombs of gusts flying
you're
through.
2 miles offshore, waiting
And
for
you have
the rain to pass,
and you can wait, and the gust never comes. Here, if it's lulling and you're screwed, you're like, well, if I just sit here wait. 5 minutes, something's going to hit me.
You're like,
you know, you just got to be patient.
Here it goes. Yeah, and I was thinking that exact same.
Don't botch it.
Yeah. That was the only thing I was thinking actually there is just I'm like waiting. I'm like, I know a gust is going to come. Eventually a gust is going to come. I'm going to get up on foil. And in the ocean, you can do that for hours. And it's just like
you just become hopeless.
A steady 11 to 13 knots of just hopelessness, right?
Just questioning all your life decisions. Is this what I should be doing?
And let's not talk about, we've had a little run of seaweed, which will just ruin your life. And thank God I'm not on a paddle doing that anymore. With the parawing, it's fine. You hit patches of seaweed, you're like, whatever, pop the parawing up. You're like parawinging. You waste no energy getting up for the most part, as long as the wind's pretty steady. But with a paddle, I remember the summer paddling and catching seaweed, the worst. And then trying to paddle up again and try to paddle up again, and you hit seaweed and you paddle up again. You're like, no, thank you. But after that run, that it almost ripped Sam's arms off, he went back to the car and got his sup with a paddle. He's like,
he was like, this is
paddling
stupid
today. It is just way too windy.
Yeah. There is kind of a spot there where, I mean, the paddle, especially here, is very useful because, it doesn't matter if the wind dies. It doesn't matter if it's cranking. You have the same gear for every run, no matter what. I mean, change your foil size, right, if it's really cranking. But
to our defense, paddling sucks.
Well, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very hard. Sucks it's a bold statement. I don't know if it sucks. I think it's still cool. I just think it's harder, and I don't get to ride a 5-foot board. I think riding the 5-foot board and feeling like I'm surfing versus riding an 8-footer. That said, I got Frank making me a 7 for the gorge, which I'm super psyched to have a little shorty
to paddle around.
Yeah, I might paddle it. I say I'm going to paddle. Hey, if I have it, maybe I'll use it. But let's be real, I'm probably just going to parawing.
Yeah, because paddling sucks. I mean, it doesn't.
Dylan is not opinionated at all.
I'm just not interested.
It's just too much work, right?
I like the people.
That was an ASMR for you guys out there.
I like the people that are still paddling and they're proud of it because they feel like they're elite. You're not.
Still, yes, they are very elite. They are better athletes that are willing to suffer more than me, and it's fine.
I mean,
I'm totally empowering them too.
Yeah.
How's that shoulder doing?
I don't know if it's my shoulder or my. I tried to paddle yesterday, so.
He's a liar. This guy. No, this is why don't go twin tipping.
Yeah.
When you don't twin tip every day.
Well, I was kite foiling the day before, and I was getting some good air. I got like 16 and a half meters on my kite foil. I was so boosting. It was fun, and then Oscar, one of my instructors, took it out after me, snapped my foil off, like clean, like 2 pieces. And then he put on.
It was a 500, right?
Yeah, it was my 500. And then he went out again, put on like a 600. He went out and he snapped my board in half. And then I went back to go put a foil on it, and he ripped the inserts out of my fuse. So my screws weren't long enough. So I'm like, oh, whatever. So I went out yesterday on a twin tip, and it wasn't strong enough to do big air. So I wasn't happy with how much air I was getting on the twin tip. So I started doing freestyle, like unhooking and handle passes and some kite loops and back mobs. And I just got ragdolled. Like I smashed my face. I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that again. Like I'm done doing freestyle. I'm just gonna,
it's too dangerous.
I'm just gonna foil. I was so sad I wasn't foiling.
Says the guy who's currently sitting out for the week because I've got 5 stitches in my foot from
kicking a
foil injury. Yeah, so I think the injuries are there potentially, but you don't get ragdolled with the foil, which is nice,
unless you're in the surf, I guess.
Yeah, you get pounded in the surf, but I'm not doing that right now, so I don't have to worry about getting pounded. It's the one nice thing when I'm here. I'm like, oh, it's so nice. I can fall and not worry about a 6-footer landing on my head with all of this gear attached to me and getting rolled over the reef. And not that I don't love that. I do love that. It's amazing having that pressure on you to perform, but it's really nice to not have that.
It's so nice being in the river.
Yeah,
oh my God,
it's great.
Awesome. And what was I going to say? I had something on my
Probably
mind.
nothing important.
Oh,
No.
boards.
I know. I was going to say the same thing. Let's talk boards.
So how hilarious that, remember when we first started downwinding and we came to the gorge, we were in Hood, and we all show up. There's like 4 of us from Puerto Rico, and we all have the KT Dragonflies, right?
Oh,
all
yeah,
of us.
Dude, totally. The B-lines, they were epic.
Board. And then you go to the hatch. Everybody has a KT board. Everybody. That's all everybody was paddling.
It's pretty insane.
2 years later, right? We go back. I go back to the hatch, put my board in. Tyson from KT lends me this 65 Super K2, and I've got him in the shop, but I was, debating what board I should get. So he lent me one on my trip.
I already bought a 60 liter.
Bought a 60, so
we've got 2 of them.
Put it in the van. 6 more. Like, everybody is on a KT Super K2.
And if they're not, they're on the new version of the Dragonfly Surf or whatever, right? So it's just like this sea of, fire orange and gray.
What other boards were out there, like mid-lengths that people were riding? Maybe
people are right. A lot of people are on the Armstrong and the Apple Trees, right? I think part of that's because you got some Apple Tree riders, and the Skipper is a good board for it, but maybe not flat enough bottom, right? And then the Armstrong mid-length, and then there's the F1 looks pretty sweet, and I definitely see some folks on that. But yeah, that and a few customs. I don't see a whole lot of their boards out there being used. It's probably 70% KT. They definitely have like a little bit of a hold on the market over here right now.
Well, they're
and after trying them, I mean, it's a great board.
They're based out of there. There's got to be something with that, right? Big ones.
And we're totally all individuals in the sport. We totally won't go with the flow of like wherever the rest of our crew's buying or whatever they're riding, right? Like, I mean, we're so influenced, right? We hop on the same gear as everybody else every year. And
well, like, yeah, let's try not to follow Mickey's lead because he'll change his mind every 4 seconds.
Well, we let Mickey live on his island.
The car is the best thing in the world. And then the next day, this car sucks. He's like, I'm on NSYS. NSYS is pretty good. He's like, the flow is the shit. He gets the ozone. He's like, I'm selling everything. Ozone all the way. And then that's when we
it's because then he's always right. It's because he's always right. So then when you go back to him, he's like, I fucking told you. I was like, well, yeah, but you did tell me to buy everything. And then all of them were the best at one point. And so now when I finally pick one, you go, well, I told you so. And I'm like, all right, well, fair.
Because you say it about everything.
Because you like everything. And then you hate everything.
No, he doesn't actually like everything. But that was true about every parawing that he jumped on.
Well, it's so hard and so confusing right now. Like, it's such a crazy journey. And the board, look, there's a reason people are on that Super K. It's probably one of the best things designed.
He's on a KT Super K now.
Yeah, he is. He tried to hold off, didn't he? He was like, oh no, my Frank 55. I was like, bro, we have the same board. Frank's an amazing shaper. He makes great boards. But that board specifically is just not the right exact shape for parawing. The volume's not in the right places and whatever. And I think, but that said, a year from now, everybody's going to be on the right track with these boards. And I think we're going to have like epic options across the board from all the manufacturers.
So for listeners that want to actually learn something, what are you riding, Walt, and why?
I am currently riding.
What's your weight and above average skill level?
I am 170 pounds. I'm on the 60 liter KT Super K, not Pro Carbon, but the stock one. And it's like I think it's 5'5", 18 and a half wide. And I chose it just from trying a bunch of different boards out. I think that when we started looking at what we need for parawinging, it was obvious, like we just came out of downwinding. We're all looking at the downwind shape. It's incredibly influential. And for all the good reasons, right? Like, it's changed. All of the new surf foil boards look like little short boards, right? They've extended the length. They're kind of like somewhere between a prone board and a mini downwind board, like the mid-length Revolution, all this stuff. But the reality is, when you're getting pulled up out of the water by a sail versus pushed by a wave or pushed by a paddle, you need different water lining. You need different things out of the board. And I think that's where, the parawing is kind of this beautiful merging of like, we need a lot of the things that we learned from making a lot of wing boards and how they release and the flat bottom and how the rails look and whatever. But then we also need it to be a little bit more surfy, right? And have a little bit more water line. And I think that's where KT's kind of found the magic mix, where they've tuned it all right, where it's kind of got some of the attributes of a downwind board and still moves through the water pretty quick, feels real surfy underfoot, but it's stable. It's got a nice platform to it, a little boxier tail, which kind of, to me, just reminds me of all the things we got out of a wingboard. And I think the two things together, pairing that with again, like the pocket rocket, where I feel like when I get it in the right sweet spot of the window, all of a sudden I have that same feeling I have of popping up with a wing and a wingboard, where I've got more force in the sail and I can really pump it, and I can get that like slapping on the water, where you really are able to like hop that board out instead of just like trying to like kind of hold your sail up and just hope that you get enough power to purely drag your ass out of the water to build enough board speed to come up on foil. You can really hit the top of the water and like do that slapping kind of pop out, which is the technique that pretty much all of us use in wing foiling when we're trying to get out smaller boards, whether it's a sinker or just like something that's, you know, kind of your half literage or like the 50 liters ish or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. The board's pretty sick. I was on a 60 liter
and it looks
original.
cool.
It looks pretty cool. I was on the Super K 60, the original version. Sold it, and then I was on the North Midi 70 because I wanted to go up in volume. I just felt it was a little bit small for Puerto Rico sometimes. Being on the 60, I felt like I could be on a smaller foil. I mean, I only ride one foil. I ride the 770 code. That's really the only foil I ride.
It's pretty much the only foil you rode here too. You just took my 770 code and I never saw it again.
Yeah, that's just what I like riding. I can surf the hell out of it. I love its glide and pump. I know I'm just so tuned into that thing. So
just magic.
I really like it. So I don't change my foil depending on the conditions now because I'm parawinging versus when I was paddling. It was very like, can I paddle this up? This is what I really want to ride. But so for the parawing, that's it. I just ride the 770 and I'll adapt my board and my parawing size to whatever foil I want to ride, which is the 770, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I went back to the 70 Midi. So when I went to Hood, and we were just jumping back and forth between the 60 and the 65 Super K.
Well, because we had a KT demo kit, so we had the KT set up on one, and we had the code foils on the other. So you and I were just trading back and forth all day.
Yeah, and honestly,
I forgot which one I was riding, dude. I was like, should I have bought the 65?
Yeah, once up on foil, I really don't know if I felt the difference. Like, I don't know if I felt the difference of having a little bit of a bigger board. Was it easier to get up? I think there is like a certain volume that if it's not completely sinking on you and it's just a little bit too much volume, like a little bit bobbly, like I wish I tried the 70 and see if it was maybe harder to hold down. Like 70 still sinks for me, right? Like I can still sink it down to my knees. I'm what, 100 and are we pounds or kilos? 177 pounds or something, 175 pounds. Kilos? You need kilos?
No, I'm just saying I do pounds. I can't kilo.
I don't know. I do both.
This is America.
I don't.
We like to measure in horses and feet and inches.
I have I don't have an identity when it comes to measurement. I'm like, I jump 16.5 meters. I jump 55 feet. I'm like, I don't know who I'm talking to. Like
55. I just use the bigger number. It always sounds better.
Yeah. All right. So I think there is a trade-off when there's a little bit more volume. Like it's harder to hold down and balance it. Like it wants to pop out. I don't know. I couldn't tell the difference between the 60 and the 65 really. And then it was still the right volume that I could sink it all the way to my knees and still like get it back out of the water and hold it down. Like it wasn't like popping up and shooting out of water on me. So it felt really good. So 65 is what I'm going with. I'm going to stick with the Super K V2 and do a 65 liter. I might try the 70 to see if it's better, but I don't know. I think I'm going to be having the right pair of wings now. You know, with F1 coming out with that one and having the ozones in my back pocket, I'm feeling like I can dial those in pretty good instead of switching brands every 4 seconds and trying to figure out what wind range I've got, right?
Hey, it's our job to switch brands every 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's
to
true.
empower people to make the most knowledgeable decision about the equipment they're choosing for their desired sport. Yeah.
So
well, and there's that sweet spot with volume, right? Like we see it the same thing with downwind boards, and it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. But like, you either want to be on something that's big and corky and really floats. And there's some drawbacks if it's like got too much float, right? But at a certain point, you just have stability from like a lot of float. And then there's like, okay, as soon as you start like seeing the deck is going to be either submerged or even with the water, like there is this spot like where I've got Frank making me a new sup, and like my sup last year was 106 liters. And I've tried a bunch of different stuff standing on, and like 95 is like way easier for me to stand on, even though I'm sinking the board a little bit more because I'm not trying to hold so much over the water line. I'm able to like, it feels more stable in the water, right? And I think we see the same thing with these parawing boards where you want it to sink, but you definitely, there's kind of a middle zone where like it should only sink a certain amount under the water before you start to lose stability, because then the only way you're going to get stability again is to go to like a full sinker where it's fully submerged and now you're the buoyancy, right? Yeah. Like if the board is more buoyant than you, then you need to have some stability there to deal with. Whereas like all of a sudden when you become like more buoyant than the board and you're like fully sinking it, I think at that point it feels really good to sit on it. Of course, that means you got to have some serious power in the parawing. And we watch people here all the time riding 45 liters and stuff. I mean, the sinker parawing starts just like wing starts totally go. It's just maybe it's a game for the young.
Yeah. The young and the waiting for the gust.
Waiting for the gust, exactly. But yeah. So I think it's something we're all going to get better at understanding. I think KT's giving us so many options with sizes, I think helps people kind of get to where they figure out that sweet spot. Because once you kind of know, right? And it just takes you a while to figure it out.
I think they're just always just a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to what they're doing. I don't know if it's because they're in Maui. I'm sure that in Maui they set their own trends as well, right there. But then the market's so broad, like in your ocean, then you're in lakes, and then so I think they did a really good job with that Super K and how they pushed the volume a little bit more back and made it a little bit more balanced and like flattened out the bottom and took away the step, which would not be Keith's choice, but they wanted it to be a lot more accessible for foil drive. He still likes the step bottom. He knows that it releases at least a second earlier than if it didn't have it. But for making that board, broader, like it's a wing board, you can
foil drive compatible and stuff.
I would have sold a lot of Super Ks, a lot of them, if they did not have that step on it in the V1. Like I was stuck with them for a long time because there was a lot of foil drives going around, and they wanted, you want some. They don't know.
Well, so it's easy to get up on, yeah.
Well, yeah, but also you're spending $6,000 already. You want to buy a new board that maybe you can cross with other disciplines, right? So you're like, I want a foil drive board, kind of specific, but I want to use it to wing. Little do they know, they don't want to wing with it. They're not taking your foil drive off that board. You're just going to foil drive with it. But they think they want to use it for other things, and then that's when the problem came in, right? So I think it was a good idea. I haven't sold one yet for foil drive. Now that the step's gone, it doesn't matter.
Nobody cares. No. Well, because everybody's already bought their trench board or whatever, right? Yeah, which the reality is, I mean, the trench board is like going to be the go-to foil drive board as more of them are available. And I mean, shit, I would have bought one this last season if I could have got my hands on one, but it just they just didn't seem to materialize fast enough.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too late. And then you were leaving and you're like, am I going to foil drive? Like, do I need a foil drive board for the gorge?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, let's be honest. Like, if you have to foil drive, you're just going to sit at home and watch The Bachelor or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. The other thing I was going to say about the KT, the evolution from V1 to V2 on the Super K is they did such a good job of moving that volume distribution around. And I mean, it feels so much smaller. The 60 liter is so much smaller than the V1 60 liter as far as like the outline on it. They shortened it by 4 or 5 inches. They took 2 inches out of the width, or 1.5 inches out of the width, because the other one was 20, right? And this is 18.5, I think. Is that correct, or is it 19.5? It doesn't matter. Either way, it feels much narrower. And then, by compressing it, because it's like it's the unicorn, right? Like we're trying to figure out how do we get everything? Like how do we have a board that feels like a short board that we're surfing on, but then has the stability that we want and the volume distribution we want. And I think that, and you want to do all that without having a 8-inch thick deck that's moving you that much further away from your foil connection. And I think they did a good job of finding the sweet spot of like moving volume around. So you got the volume in, you packed it into the board. I think that's where the boxy or chop tail comes in. It allows you, when you do that pintail, you lose so much potential for volume on the back end of the board that you kind of need.
What I found with those pinned tails is, I don't know, they're just, if you don't have the volume in the tail, if you don't have enough volume in the tail, you're just dragging, and it's just, there is no release unless you get far enough forward to push that board up and over the edge. That if you don't have enough rocker or volume in the nose, it's just, then you're like diving forward. They just, I don't know, the tail still drags a bit, right? It's not that I'm out of the water and I'm flat. It's still dragging a bit, but I feel like the way that it's flowing off the back doesn't like suck into turbulence and doesn't feel like it's holding me back. It feels like it just wants to roll off and slip off the back. So it's really,
well, it's like the thing we noticed when, I had Frank make me 2 boards for this last winter. It was a 55 liter that was like 18 wide. And then I had the same width, 18 and a half or whatever. And he did me like a 60 70 liter.
Yeah.
It's like a beautiful mid-length board. It's gorgeous, right? It looks like a little Frank downwind board.
Yeah.
But then we used it side by side with the V1, which is still bulkier and bigger and whatever, 60 liter. And it was clear that the KT V1, I could get out of the water easier with 10 less liters.
Yeah.
And that was all because of how the water gets distributed, right? Like it was like both displacement hulls, but maybe like the flat deck in the middle and being a little bit wider, the KT planed out faster or whatever. Yeah. And then when you go to like lift it, when you're trying to lift it, it's like, well, if your mast is too far forward on one of those long boards, all of a sudden you end up with the tail just like an e-brake, right? Like every time you're like trying to kick it out, you're also like, you're pushing water back this way and creating this like e-brake. So, I think that's where if you're not going to be just speed releasing and gliding up onto foil, you need something that isn't going to be creating like back pressure as you're pushing on it. So that's where also like if you're putting your mass too far forward in the tracks, you could probably be hurting your takeoffs a little bit too, right? And it's that fine balance. Me, I ride super forward in the tracks because I like standing at the front of my board and having my swing weight kind of even, so it feels shorter. But I know I'm sacrificing on the takeoff. Yes, you do. You change. He can't get on my board without moving the fucking mast, and I can't get on his without moving his mast.
Well, and then you make it such a thing, like you're right.
I do love making it a thing. I am right,
Dylan,
obviously.
You're too far back. Dylan, you're too far back. You need to push it forward. Dylan, you need to push it forward. I did like it. I like winging with it really far forward. I do like this pushback and this feed. I just find I'm still trying to find the sweet spot, right? Like where I really want it, and I don't know where I put it. I should put a line or mark it. So I try to guess. I like put my finger in the back of the track. So I'm like, that's a knuckles worth, and I'm like, cool, that'll work, But I know that I do like it. I don't like it too far forward. I don't like the takeoff. I feel like I'm having to push the nose down, and it stalls out on me a little bit too much. And I don't like that feel. I feel like I can get up a lot easier if it's evenly balanced and flat. And I know that when I'm up and riding, I do like my foil a little bit more forward, but I don't like how the takeoffs feel. And I know that I can take off a lot easier and in lighter winds with my smaller foil with the foil back. Which is interesting because it always felt like, you've got more lift, put your foil more forward, but it makes this weird teetery, this easy stall if you're not far enough forward, if you don't have enough volume in the nose, and you're hanging onto this tiny collapsing sail. It just makes it a lot harder. With a wing, I have no problem. I could have it, I could have the foil on the nose and start it backwards if I wanted to.
Totally. We've been talking about that actually because the tracks are so far forward on the KT. I was like, I wonder if we put it backwards, the very front of the tracks, if you could flip the board around and start it in reverse. Yeah. I'm sure Mick Floyd will be putting a clip out at some point this season.
Watch me go
He's always looking for something. Yeah, exactly. Look at me do 360s backwards with the blindfold on. Anyways, that guy's ridiculous, but yeah, it's been a cool journey, and it's so funny. The sport is so wild how it keeps progressing, and I can't, if we you'll have to put a montage of all the times we say, or I've said this exact same thing, but every time I think that we are definitely at the top kind of end of, the growth curve is like this and innovation and whatever. And like, we've got to be we got to be starting to do this, right? Like get into this where it's not going to keep something new that is just so next level in a foil section that really changes the way you're thinking about foil, or a board design that changes the way you feel with the board under your feet. Like that's not going to keep happening every year at the same, increasing angle of innovation and growth. And yet it does, dude. Like this year again, I mean, I'm on gear that I didn't realize. Like I'm on new foils that are blowing my mind. I'm on a board that's completely blowing my mind. The Parawings, insane. We haven't even talked about the fart board. I mean, the fart board is about to just break the bank. You know, it's gonna be a magical, wild year for foiling. Like that segue I just set you up for. Yeah, it's gonna break your bank account.
It's gonna break my bank if people don't start pre-ordering. No, I'm kidding. I'm not worried about that.
No, the release is so tight. There's so few coming that they're gonna go. I know. We'll talk about it at the end.
It is funny how this innovation and how things keep getting better and better. How long has Code been around since they launched that 850S?
2 years. It'll be 2 years in like September. Actually, it's not even 2 years.
Yeah, so still extremely relevant. Haven't changed it. Still, people jump on it and think it's the best foil they've ever ridden, either because they haven't tried anything new since they're still riding their Armstrong or Axis stuff. Mm-hmm. But then they jump on the Code. I mean, it happened yesterday. Someone jumped on the 850S and they're like, "Holy shit!" Like this foil. And I'm like, yeah, it is slippery. It is fun. It is glidey. It can surf, right?
But it's still stable and pitch stable and easy user friendly, but super high performance.
So they've expanded on the line, like they've made new foils, but then, you were feeling a little bit bored, right? You're like, I need to, you got a new board and then we got a new sport and you've got a new parawing and whatever, but you're like, okay, I'm really honed into this Code foil stuff and I really want to ride the 850, right? On the river, having a surf foil is just so great. Like I have no issue riding the R, a 13AR on the river and I can surf it. When I went on the 850, you were right, Walt. It was more fun. It was more fun. And those foils are very comparable in their size range, right? The 770 and the 850S. Then we had these KTs that I rode in Maui. You never got the chance, but I rode them for like a week and a half. And they were really fun in the ocean. And I had a lot of fun on them. Did I feel like they were a lot better than what I was riding? I don't know. I don't know if I like really felt the magic then, but it was, I mean, we're getting better too, right?
Yeah,
so
I think it's a little bit of everything.
I did some Kihei days on that 790 that were just magic, right? Just magic. And I felt like I was magic because I was just doing these runs in Maui, right? And I was like, oh my God, I am so good.
I'm so good at this sport.
So good. I'm like, whatever foil, I don't care. But it could have been the foil that it was also very good.
Well, we were all wondering why you were surfing so well, because like usually, you're just kooking it out there, but you just looked extra good in Maui. So, no, I don't think it's also about like something being better or whatever, right? Yeah, like he's pointing out, like I just switched to riding the new KT foils because I'm a tweaker and I like riding different stuff. And I think for me, it's like they just pair really well on the river here. But what were you saying?
Well, you couldn't even wait another month and a half for those flight lab foils to come. You're like,
I'm still fully committed.
I need to do something now. Like I can't ride Code for another 2 months. Like, oh.
I know. Like, I know it was silly, but it was really cool, and I'm totally not regretting it. I love the foils. I love the range, and I think also I'm a firm believer that you got to get on different stuff to continue to grow. Like I literally have spent 1,000 hours on every one of those surf foils.
And hundreds over the winter, of dollars at Kite Puerto Rico.
Yeah, exactly. But they're epic. I think that they're amazing ocean surfing machines. I think for towing and for faster moving waves. Shit, you can downwind the Code. Oh my God, dude. The 850S can. I was downwinding that almost exclusively this winter. I don't think I rode the 770 near as much as I was riding like the 850 because if I had that, I could still keep up with the bumps, but then I had something that felt so much surfier with the Parawing because I wasn't really worried about the pop-up, right?
Yeah.
So they're just incredible in what they can do. And then the R's are just like probably the most user-friendly race foils out there. Yeah. But, I think the KTs just add this playfulness. I mean, their Atlas series, right? You're talking about wings that are in the 10 to 11 aspect ratio. versus 13 AR, right? So you've decreased your aspect ratio, which obviously lends to turning and performance, but they've still got good low end. It doesn't have the same like maxed out speed and glide, but the feel is really awesome. And then the nomads just surf like crazy. And then the whole thing, look, in the river, if I look on my watch or whatever, my average speed on foil is like 5.8 miles an hour. Like it is. Go look at your numbers, dude, because we're moving against current in the river and blah, blah, blah. But you're moving faster because you're on a treadmill, but it's not like being in the ocean where you're averaging 17 to 20 and you need a foil that can like hold that pace. It also means that when you get to those lulls or those stall sections or dipping into a trough or whatever, when the bumps aren't moving fast, like you really need some low end, or you're going to have to be sizing up on your foil. And I think that's what, we talked to Kane when he was letting us check out the prototypes, and he said that was the whole idea behind the foil section, right? You're adding, you can't create more lift without creating more drag. It is just science at this point, or religion or something. And depends how you look at it. But anyways, so if you're going to add drag, right? Okay, we're going to add drag, and then that's going to have an effect. But what we did is we got all this low end. So instead of being on your 850, now you're on your 700, but you're getting the same amount of lift you would have had on the 850. So yes, you got more drag on the top end, but it doesn't really matter because now you're on a size down foil. And what does the size down foil give you? Gives you more turning, gives you more surf feel. And so, I mean, I don't think that would be your racer's foil of choice, but I think if you're out there to just go rip turns and have a good time, which is literally all I give a shit about, they're super fun, and they're pushing me into a new space. And it had been a long time. I really missed having to change my shims and deal with aluminum fuselages after Takuma. So it's really, it's taking me back. I feel like I'm back in the early days of foiling where I have to shim everything, and I got to make sure I clean and lube up my aluminum so I don't have corrosion and all that.
My first session, like I think there's one of my first videos, like I did like a recording or whatever of me riding around on the Parawing. I was on the KT, and it said -1 and 0, or it was 0 and a I don't know. It was 0
this
and
is
0.
great.
It was 0 and 0.
This is why I let
like,
you go first.
0 and 0. I'm like, cool. 0 shims. So I put
0 plus 0 equals 0.
I put no shim, and then I came out of the water, and I was doing these like I do these hop transitions, so I swap my feet, and it was like. And it was just like nose diving like this. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? What's up with this foil? I'm like, whatever. It feels good when I'm up and I can pump it. It felt pretty pitchy. I was in a short fuse. So I was like, maybe I'm just not used to like the down drop of it. I don't know. Maybe I put it in the wrong place. It just was acting a little bit funny, which was totally fine. But it was, and then I came out of the water, and this guy's like, are you demoing the KTs? I'm like, yeah, I got them from Tyson. I'm trying them out. He's like, oh yeah, I picked them up from Big Winds. He's like, do you know about the shims? I'm like, yeah, I know about the shims. 0 0 equals 0 shims. And he's like, no,
you got to put the 0 shim in. 0 is the thing.
Shim in there, and I was like, oh, well. So I put in the 0 shim, and it worked way better. Yeah,
because your tail was facing like this.
Yeah, so
it's classic.
So that's what the Atlas. We didn't have any nomads. So I've never tried the nomad. I've never had my.
I had to just buy one blind. I've been like a frother, like a fucking crackhead finding a rock. I don't know if you actually should bleep that out, but I've been just like madly trying to seek and find whatever I could find of the KT, because they sold out so fast, and I don't even know when they're going to be back in because of all the tariffs and everything. But yeah, I was able to get my hands on an 830 and a 980 Nomad from TJ over at Big Winds, and they're rad. I mean, it's tough. Here's the crazy thing with those foils. They're both so surfy. Both lines are so surfy for me, coming from what I've come from riding with like 13 ARs and stuff, that, the Atlas still feels really surfy. It's just more of this like whipping, gliding, like you snap the turns and these like really fast, snappy stuff. Whereas like, with the Nomad, it doesn't have the same glide at all when you go to pump it. Like the low end's insane, but you just don't get the glide for each pump. And it just wants to turn, and it wants to stall and pivot. So it's more of these like, you can really get those like hard tail snapping, like hacking turns and stuff. Whereas like the Atlas, I don't think my turn radius has really changed that much or anything. It's more like whippy and flowy. And I can't really decide which one I like better.
Huh.
They actually, I've been riding the Armstrong HAs some. The Atlases feel very similar to the Armstrong HAs to me, in like how they turn. Yeah, the V2 HAs everybody's riding here. They've got the same kind of just that nice flowy, and they're both around the same aspect ratio, like 10 and a half, right?
That crazy
and they just got this
camber on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same.
And dude, the low end, oh my God, dude, I literally was trying to stall it out and like pretty much just fall over from lack of stability instead of stalling out because they go so slow. Like it's just wild.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I don't know what I think there's no doubt. Is this too dramatic of a foil section maybe for long-term foiling? But either way, this foil section is going to change how people are creating foil sections. I think we've already seen the influence. I mean, kind of started with the race foils from Armstrong, right? Like they were the first ones kind of like putting that into application, that crazy teardrop looking.
Yeah.
And then Kane's really applied it. Yeah, Norse downwind foils, but like nobody really applied it to the surf foils yet. No, and I think, and to give some shout out to Nick. I mean, Nick at Lyft in the early days, definitely like, the aggressive camber on the 120 and stuff was definitely like kind of the first step towards that. But this is taking it to like a whole new level where you're just getting
soft.
Well, and those had this crazy, you got low end that wasn't quite as low, but then when you got to the top end, you had this absurd amount of lift that you just couldn't hold down. Yeah. Whereas these are, I don't know. And again, I'm not a pope or a scientist. So I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem to have that same, you get drag. You get lots of drag when you really are maxing the foil out, but you don't get that overwhelming feeling of lift. Like I'm going to get blown out of the water and I lose stability. Like I just feel like there's a small child hanging off the back of my board at a certain point when it's like going really fast and you're just kind of getting peeled back down. Whereas like the codes kind of just are like, and they just want to keep going, they don't want to stop.
Yeah. And then the lift, they just like want to shoot you out of the water.
Oh yeah. That's like, hang on to your buck and bronco there. I mean, that's changing too, right? Their foil sections are changing. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, how old is the 120 now? I mean, we're talking about the same foil section. That foil is like 4 years old now. Might as well be 104 years old. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. Dog years. Whatever. It's old. Mm-hmm. It's old. So yeah.
So speaking of foils.
Yeah, I'm stoked that these flight labs are coming. My order's in. I got a lot.
I'm still fully committed. To my flight lab order. Yeah, of course. I'm so excited about these foils.
Yeah, so they're coming. The jet boards and the foils are coming at the same time. So I'm gonna introduce that brand into my shop, as well as a lot's been going on. So I've been extremely busy setting up accounts and making orders and trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my bank account for this.
I told you, dude, go ahead and send me the bill for those flight lab foils.
Yeah. So I've got
but I mean, hopefully in the next 2 months here, we'll hopefully have something to ride and talk about. Because I mean, right now it's still just been a big mystery. I'm just trying to be vague.
maybe
4 months, a year, maybe sooner. Who knows?
6 years from now, we'll be riding.
Exactly. Yeah. But it'd be cool. It'd be cool to finally get your hands on, because I think they are the next foil that everybody's kind of excited to see what it can do. Yeah. I mean, the clips look insane.
I'm stoked to surf it. I don't think we're going to downwind with them, and like parawing maybe, right? And if I can keep the energy up, maybe if I'm on a bigger one, maybe like a 909 or 808. I don't know. I got to feel them out. They don't feel like they're maybe as glidey as what we're used to. Just codes are just so like,
they're
slick,
8,
right?
They're 8/8 aspect. So, like they're going to be surfy. And look, I think for here, they're going to be amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. But that's another reason why I was kind of amped to just go ahead and commit to KT. Because like, I still I'm going to go to Maui in a few weeks here probably. Right. And I want to be able to downwind, and I can't just have surf foils. Like I need something that's more downwind specific. And I think that obviously Flight Lab will be putting those out if we're all psyched on how they surf, and they'll come along, but that's going to be over the next, year or two before they drop the full extent of the line. And so it's just, it's a journey for any new brand. Well, I'm just being vague. I'm not in charge.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in charge here.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm stoked. Throw around the dates.
I just,
I'm not going to throw around dates, but It's still looking like a end of July. We should get something. If it's still a little late, then really beginning of August. We'll have stuff. I don't know for the mainland. In Puerto Rico, I'm still trying to figure out what logistics of shipping all this stuff in, with a new brand and cargo or whatever I'm going to do with
They can
it.
just ship it straight. Do you want to give me my address here in the gorge? They can just ship it all to me. It's fine.
Yeah, and then you'll take it to the airport for me.
Yeah, dude. I'll totally take it to the airport for you.
Yeah. Well, it looks like I got enough, and I've only, sold a handful of them already, some pre-orders, which is great. But I still have some left over, and I was able to get as much as I could. There's not a lot of us that are getting the first pick, and I'm stoked that they're dividing it up, and I was high up on their list. So I'm stoked that I'm going to be carrying the whole line. I'm stoked on their foils. I've got some of their raw boards coming, and then I've got the amps and a bunch of different sizes of their amp boards coming and mid-lengths and all of that stuff. So complete amp setups is what, they're going to be a little bit short on for the first hand because they're spreading them out throughout all the dealers. And I'm still a small guy, but I'm getting a good amount of them. More than, I don't know if I'd want any more. Like, I don't know if I could handle that. So I'm stoked.
Well, I think this is going to be like all this stuff, where it's everybody has hesitancy to pre-commit to stuff before it comes out. But as soon as they hit the market and your homie has one and you're seeing clips and whatever, everybody's going to be frothing for it. And then you're going to be backloaded, like everybody's going to be on a wait list to get these things. Yeah. I mean, I'm choosing the same, like, I'm not going to use it here, so there's no point in me buying one, especially if there's only going to be X amount of units coming. It should go to people who are going to ride them. Yeah. And but shit, I might come to winter and really want one, and I can't get one. So I think if you are thinking about it and you want to get in early because you're somewhere where using a jet assist makes a lot of sense, I would get on it. Yeah. Sooner than later, you're not going to get your hands on one.
It's hard because we can't really put out any public info, pricing, and all of that stuff, which it's all been really good. But you can't put it out there, so it's hard. I'm like, cool, I'm getting 10, and I've only sold 4. You're like, oh. But I know the moment that they're like dropping and all the prices come out and everyone like starts to see them and then they get them in their hands, it's like, ciao. Ciao. And that's my hopes, right? I mean, I hope I get to keep one, but my hopes are that, they just they fly out the door.
Let's be real. I know you, Dylan. You're going to be like, oh, look, I have one. Oh, I sold it. This guy came in and I used it once and I sold it.
He looked me in the
Dylan,
eyes.
You never keep anything.
I need that.
I will give you money.
Yeah, it's like, well, got to keep the family alive. I'll sell it.
Yeah, exactly. It's why you're not. It's after all of your romanticizing the pocket rocket today. How many pocket rockets do you have personally to sale right now? Exactly. You sold them all. You gave it to me. Yeah, exactly.
Well, he wasn't going to drive me to the airport if I put it in my luggage.
Well, that was fair. I did say that. Yeah, so I did threaten you.
Yeah, I do have my favorite parawing. I don't even have one.
Yeah, it's all good though. It'll come back. That's the it's the cobbler whose kids have no shoes, right? Like that's the game you play.
Yeah, which is not bad. But yeah, that's
and if you haven't had a chance, go back and listen to that Flight Lab episode. I think it was very impactful in like how we're thinking about the sport moving forward. I think some of the stuff they're doing, at least on the foil assist side, is obviously like the next step forward, which is crazy exciting because foil assist is really, I mean, I still think we are just barely tapping into what that's going to mean for the sport long term. I think there's still a lot of hesitancy. I feel it here in a huge way because it's such a wind sports community. There's a lot of hesitancy to like lean into it. And then even in the ocean, right? Like it's still something we kind of like push against. But I think as technology like this comes out that makes it more accessible, makes it feel cooler, less impactful in the lineup, where you can actually exist in the same place as a paddler and not really be scaring them because you're farting around the place and whatever. I think that's all going to kind of change the way people perceive it. And then you look at the foils too, and I think they're pushing foil connections and stuff like that forward in a meaningful way. And hopefully the foil sections kind of continue to evolve. I think this is probably pulling. We haven't really seen it right up close or held it, but it's probably pulling from a lot of things we're seeing from Armstrong, from KT, from Code. I mean, it's just the same way Code was able to come out with a great brand, right? Like they were able to piggyback on the innovation of everybody else and go, here's what I like. I like this from Lyft. I like this from Armstrong. I like this from whatever. And then they merge this really beautiful brand that we've all kind of fallen in love with.
If you're not grabbing the best foils or the best boards or the best tech and you're not trying them and benchmarking them, then what are you doing?
Oh, totally, dude. If you're not digging into like what everybody else is doing, totally.
I mean, start from scratch and do something totally new and weird. No, do something that works and then tweak it, you know? Mm-hmm. It's working.
Yeah, and you know, I do hear rumors of some more KT foils coming out too, which will be really cool to see because obviously those guys have been crushing it. Everything they've released has just been amazing feels and great build and whatever. So yeah, I mean, like super stiff mast. I mean, everything weighs a ton, but it's never going to break on you. So that's nice. Surprised Roy's not riding them, honestly, as the king of broken gear, that he's not on Code just for the fact that I think it'll last longer than anything else he gets on.
Yeah. I mean, warranties?
None, right? Yeah, I don't think we've broken anything. Yeah. I mean, I've scratched the shit out of them. I have run them into things so hard. Dude, it's unbelievable.
The only warranties I had are shipping stuff. Like shipping warranties, like something got chipped or a tip was snapped, like not snapped, but like, or there was like a dent in the back of the mast or nothing, dude, nothing.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. We could just keep going. There's so much to talk about. I feel like we probably just need to do a second podcast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got some guests lined up. Like I said, pretty bad.
Oh, let's talk a little bit about how good we were at knocking out all these podcasts when we were here. So Dylan's planning this trip. He's going to come. I just moved to the Gorge, and he's going to come stay with me for a week, and we're just going to send it bro style, do a bunch of podcasts. X-Foils is like on the map. We're a legitimate podcast. Not really, but we were trying to become one. I'm a co-host unofficially. I mean, there's all kinds of things pointing to this being a successful trip.
I'm surprised the amount of reach out I get and people calling the shop and running into people and them knowing and talking about episodes I've done. I'm pretty surprised. I mean, I see the numbers.
I don't blame you.
Still, I'm like, yeah, they're like, hey, you're Dylan. I'm like, nope, I'm not Dylan.
Yeah, but we failed so bad. We had all these like we kept talking game to everybody about doing podcasts, and then every day the wind would be up and be like, "Oh, let's go send it." And then, you know, before you know, it's 7:00 and we're drinking beers in the basement, and not my house, the basement of the hatch. And it was just this, and we finally about halfway through the trip, we're like, okay, this is just not going to happen. We'll just do them.
We're like, but at least, you know, we don't have to line up with these people, you know. At least, you know, we're at home and we can just me and you just do one, right? Not even that.
Yeah, exactly. We talked shit about it. We were going to do a hot tub session. We want to be cool like the generic guys.
The problem is hot tub session. Every time we talk, it's like it's every time we talk, it's the same thing. Like I called you to set up the time for this podcast today. I'm like, can you do it? You're like, yeah, you can do it. And then you're like, well, you know, I was like sessioning the other day and my foil. I'm like, you know, dude, I'm like, can you just like stop? Just like save it.
I don't know what else to talk about. I think that's the problem with foiling,
so funny,
right?
dude.
We just run into this for like hours.
Well, how can you guys just talk about foiling that much? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Because like, you can talk about
what else am I going to talk
foils.
about?
Like, I've got all these wings and brands and stuff that I'm doing, and there's new innovation. Like, I've got to stay on top of it. I want to stay relevant. I want to have the best shit. I want to talk about the best shit. I want to be on it. I want to know about it. You know, so it's just.
And then the other 50% of the time, you've got to save that for talking shit about your friends who are writing those things that you're talking about, right? So it's like this full circle of content that just never stops, which is why you have a podcast.
Yeah. So tell me about we'll recap on or not recap, but talk that you said you're going to go to Maui. That's the first time I've heard that.
Well, I got Frank making. So as Parawings are developing, I've been talking to Frank about Parawing boards all winter, and you know he's kind of got some mid lengths that are really rad mid lengths. But talking about, as we've kind of all learned, there's a more Parawing specific board out there. Ooh, look how much better the audio gets if I move my mic into the shot there.
Yeah,
I'll move it out because that's awkward. But so we've been talking about that.
Look at
exactly. You're right. This is better. Actually, I should have it like this. This is way better. But now it's going to sound weird the whole podcast, so we'll move it back. So back to what I was saying about Maui. He's making me a 7-footer That's like his design, evolved off of, he's always evolving his designs, right? Like all the time. It's always kind of this progression of whatever the Frank board is. Now. He is pretty hot right now.
I'm not going to say it's because of the X-Foils podcast, but you're welcome, Frank.
You're welcome, Frank. I think it's the cool Italian vibes and the sweet glasses that he always wears. But
he's just so sweet and honest. Yeah, you can't.
He's such a good dude,
and he can talk. That guy can talk.
Oh, he can talk. Yeah. So anyway, he's got this board he's making me because I was like, hey, I need a sup. I can't not own a sup. It feels weird to be here and not have one. I need to at least own one, even if I never use it. I'm just kidding. I'll use it all the time, hopefully. But I've also been talking to him about making parawing boards and kind of my thoughts on design and his thoughts. And so we were like, okay, we're going to collaborate on a board, and which is obviously him doing all the design, me just talking shit. But he's in the race season, right? So he's very busy during race season, making custom boards for, it's in 2 weeks is the Triple Crown, right? And so he's getting ready for that. And now that he's finished those, we've been talking about making the 7-footer, and then we've been talking about what this parawing board would look like. And so he's worked up a prototype for like his first kind of new version of the parawing board that he's going to be making. And either I'm going to go get him or he'll ship them here. But either way, I'm going to head over to Maui to go send some runs. I've never parawinged in Maui, right? Like we were there when the BRM came out last year. I never got to try it. So very excited to go parawing Kihei and do some Maliko runs and just put that 570 Atlas on there and go to town.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Super psyched. Probably for like 10 days or something. It won't be like a month like usual.
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to go to Maui this year. I didn't travel a lot. It feels like I have, but just the shop's been so busy. So getting away for a week, it feels like I traveled a lot, you know? So a week with you was dope. And then a week later that I went for 3 days to Cabarete, and then on the 7th now, so in like a week and a half, I'm going to Spain, Gran Canaria, to the island. Yeah,
that's going to be sick. I'm so excited for the report back on that, because I think obviously another super windy, not untapped by any reasons, obviously like pretty tapped from the European side, but
I talked to Fabian. He's a North wing rider.
Yep.
And he's also part of that team. So I talked to him yesterday about it, the conditions, and he's like, dude, it is 35 to 40 knots on the regular. Like, it is epic. I'm like, can I just like go to a shop and rent gear there? He's like, if you're a windsurfer, I'd say so. But if you're not a windsurfer, I mean, you got to bring your own foils. And I've never done that before. Brought my own foils somewhere.
I know. You've never brought gear on a fucking trip. Come on, you tell me like F1 doesn't have a warehouse there or something you can go try and get gear from?
That'd be sick. Yeah,
that'd be sick, right?
Yeah.
No, they don't. There's no way.
No. But I'm gonna reach out, or if anybody's actually listened to this podcast this far, if anybody's over there, Gran Canaria, I'm gonna be on the Big Island for 2 weeks. It's a family trip, so the kids are going. The wife, she's got her sister's got a place there, so we're gonna stay up there. She's going to be there for 5 weeks, but I couldn't commit to being away from the shop for that long. So I'm going to do the first little leg so I can help them fly there. And then I was planning today to take like what gear I'm going to take. And I really want a kite in 35, 40 knots, but I think I could probably rent a kite there. And it's not that important what kite I have. My foils feel a little bit more important. And if I take a mid-length, I take a 60 Super K. I can parawing every day. If I want to, I could prone that board because there's like a decent surf spot there. I mean, what else am I do? Parawing and surf, like
that's just that in the 770. All you need.
That's pretty much my life.
Probably bring a couple foils though. You don't want to go too short.
I don't know. It's all I use, man.
Yeah. No, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to hear about it because it's not, we get tapped into the places we know about in these sports, and I think as the sports are developing, right, we're finding new places to do these things because this sport didn't exist before. Downwinding wasn't really. I mean, it's a thing from an unlimited SUP standpoint and the prone paddling and whatever, but it's like on foil, this is still new. So there's places out there like Hood River, like the Canary Islands, right, potentially, and whatever else that could be just these amazing spots that we should all have on our radar. And it's just exciting to be able to explore the ocean in a new way, dude.
Yeah, Fabi said it's got to be epic downwinding, like epic.
Has to be. If it blows that hard,
yeah.
How could it not be?
He said, I know you've been some good places like Maui and the Gorge and whatever, but he said, I know that you're going to be blown away by the conditions there. And I'm like, stoked. Like,
yeah, it'd be interesting. I haven't even looked at the island. It'd be cool to look at the topography and stuff and see what the coastline looks like and where the runs would be. And, you know, I guess it still trades, right? Winds coming from off of Africa, coming from the east.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, that's where they all start, is over there, right? Yeah, so it's got to be east, northeast, like, probably for them.
Like down like this and then out and around. Like I think it wraps around it or something.
I've got to so like northeast and then wraps or something. But anyways, very excited to hear more about that, man. Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting summer. I mean, I'm like all in here. I'm so psyched to be in the gorge with this amazing community and just like fully focused on that. But yeah, gotta go hit Maui. Hopefully make it back down to Puerto Rico sometime before hurricane season. But I'm sure by winter time it'll be time to go surfing. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool, man.
Right on.
We did it.
I think we did it. We did it. There's a lot more that we could do, but we did it. All right, guys. You're welcome.
You're welcome for us wasting an hour and a half of your life. You'll never get this back. Hopefully you learned something. I don't know if we did.
No, I love this. Thanks, Walt. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude, it's the best, man. Thanks for having me as your unofficial co-host.
Yeah, I had such a good time over there. It was so much fun. And then when I get back from Spain, if I can wrap things up and I have some good people in the shop, then I'll try to make it out again for like a 5-day trip or something while the family's still going.
I mean, we're going to have Roy here. Roy's always entertaining and a good time. I'm excited to be parawinging with that dude for a couple weeks here.
Yeah, entertaining good and entertaining bad. There's
he should just be his own reality TV show, really. Like, it would be amazing just where they just follow him around every day in Dorado.
Yeah. I'd love to talk about his downwind parawing journey because it's been hilarious. That's something
dude.
I would talk about.
But he's he's a stubborn motherfucker. He's a stubborn motherfucker, man, and he gets it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. Anyways, all right.
Thanks,
Later,
everybody.
homie.